Jesus
Yeah.
is breaking some rules.
Yeah, the disciples too. Yes.
How many preachers can you put on one video screen? Today you get three of us. Only one of us is preaching on Sunday. It's not Reverend Adrian. It's not me. Reverend Heelee Velez. Reverend, I called you Reverend. Almost Reverend, someday Reverend. We'll get to that later. You are in the pulpit this Sunday. Before we get into the text and the sermon and diving into that, can you just give us a sense of what do you do at Riverside? Who are you? Many people know you because we see you every week with the fantastic youngest among us, but just give us the calling card, business card, email bio. Who is Heelee Velez at the Riverside Church?
Yeah, thank you, Reverend Jim. I'm Minister Heelee Velez. I'm the Associate Director of Education and Faith Formation for Children and Families at Riverside Church. I mainly, as my title explains, work with children and families, children from nursery up to sixth graders. We have very vibrant, fun, exciting, meaningful church school programs where our teachers share their gifts and talents with our children, and children, they share their gifts and talents with us, which is such a blessing for us. We learn more from them, I feel like, each week than we teach them. So, and then, yeah, that's what I do. I try to bring our intergeneration together. I have intergenerational programs such as family retreat or parent connect, which transforms into family connect in summer, and we do a lot of fun, intergenerational activities. Yeah.
And you've been in this role now for just about a year. Where's that? When does that marker come up for you?
April will be a year. Yeah.
We're getting there. We're getting there. Oh, that's I mean, you are still just on lap number one. We can't wait to see how many and where this takes us in our community. As we all know, if you're a part of Riverside on Sunday, you've seen the way children are centered and present and transform the experience. Minister Heelee is a huge component in helping all of that come to life every single week, both on the front of the Sunday morning, and then so much that continues to happen that many of us might not always experience. So, just for all of us, thank you for that work. It's so
Oh, thank
essential.
you.
And you are in the pulpit this coming Sunday. So,
Yes,
uh,
for the first time.
what's our text? Where are we headed this coming Sunday?
So I'm focusing on Luke chapter 6, verses from 1 to 11, the two Sabbath challenge stories.
Jesus
Yeah.
is breaking some rules.
Yeah, the disciples too. Yes.
Any angles you're scheming or thinking as you look at Jesus? So just to clarify, this is Jesus where he's picking some grain when you're not supposed to, and then he heals a person again when you're not supposed to. You're not supposed to help people. Oh, these rules, and it's largely the Pharisees who are like trying to catch Jesus in the act, and there's a whole thing there. But how are you holding or feeling about these stories in this text?
Yeah, I want to approach this text as a gentle, if you will reminder, also as a challenge to ourselves and to our nation, to the whole world. A reminder, as in there will be moments where you will be struck by these holy interruptions, I call them, through mainly through other people. You will be confronted by different claims, different petitions, different ideas, different perspectives, and you'll be, invited. Jesus is inviting. I don't read this text. We are so used to um, juxtapositioning Jesus and the Jews. I don't see them as us versus them. Jesus is doing what the Jewish people, the Jews at that time, were familiar with, were used to doing. They're discussing about the interpretation of the Sabbath law. They're not really, Jesus is not trying to destroy them or, as in Matthew, demolish the law. Like, what's the word? I did not come to abolish the world, the law. I did not come to abolish the law. I came to fulfill the law. So Jesus is trying to find ways to, or more likely, suggest ways to the Jews to fulfill the law together, not just I'm right, like you're doomed, you're out, you're out. I'm in. So I just wanted to remind us that, first, that we might be challenged in our lives, and how do we, experience that and accept that, receive that. And another part I mentioned in our worship meeting is when, especially Riverside, because we are um, gifted with the task of challenging the world in many different ways. God uses us as holy interruptions in many people's lives. But I wanted to um, see Jesus as a giving us an example of how we should do that, and the whole thing about Jesus not just excluding them, including them, inviting the Jews, whoever was in that space, to think this through together, ask questions together, answer the questions together. And when Jesus, right before Jesus heals the man with the withered hand, our text says he looks around at all of them, all of them. He actually looks at them. He's acknowledging them. I see you. I want you to see this. I want you to get this. So that's very encouraging for me, because now it's social media everywhere. We're so divided. Like, at some days I'm so frustrated. I think, like, we'll be better off just dividing into two different countries.
Ooh.
Like, I'm so like, that's how I feel.
Only two?
Only two? Yeah. Right. So that's not the world I want to leave for our children, because we're giving them a message. We're like, they are like, brand new sponge. They observe everything, and so fast. And when they see us, such division, I don't think we're doing a very good job at giving them this message of unity, you know. And I just wanted us to challenge, Jesus is not trying to abolish anyone or anything, right? He's inviting everybody, See, like, I have a different interpretation, I have different approach, I have a different answer. Why don't you listen to what I have to say? Like, I want to share it with you. I want you to listen. I'm looking at you right now. I want you to hear it, because I want you to know. I want you to enjoy this truth, or this joy, with me, this good news with me. So, yeah, those are the
Absolutely.
directions I'm taking. I'm
Good.
sorry, that was very long.
No, that
No.
was perfect. That was perfect. I love the way you keep leaning into the word togetherness and this notion, disabusing us of this notion that it's Jesus and the Jews, that there's some kind of split or division. I mean, Jesus himself is a Jew. And I think as a person who, especially in this text, he's in his neighborhood. He's in Galilee. He's with people that he grew up with, right? This is like Miss Pearl down the street, or I don't know, whatever their names would have been. So it would make sense that he's not casting them out. This is kind of his family.
Yeah.
And they would try to get through the roadblocks or the challenges or the bumps together, it would seem to me. I thought that was good.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
I think that polarizing Jesus and the Jews, that narrative really creates this approach where we feel free or comfortable to kind of demonize the other.
Yeah.
And I want to challenge that notion. We're never to demonize any person, that's not what we want to do. That's not what we're for. So sometimes I ask, like, what's our purpose? Sometimes there's some narratives, it sounds like their purpose is not overcoming these evil forces together, but to destroy the other.
Yes.
So
Yeah. Heelee, I
Yeah.
think you're right. I mean, because what I talked about last week is this notion of systems being broken and systems being rotten. And I think too often, as you're suggesting, we turn that on individuals as opposed to turning it on the empire or turning it on systems and structures that are sinful, broken, evil.
Well, and there's the need to have people of faith confronting those systems, so Perhaps there was a system we see here with the Sabbath, this thing that's supposed to be giving you that breath you need, was being turned into a constricting system of, are you following the rules right? I think sometimes we need faithful preaching prophets to stand up to those who are holding their positions of power and authority in ways that are unjust towards others, even if it means talking to the president in the front row of the church saying, have mercy, have mercy. There's just the courage that it takes. I mean, think of whether you're a bishop in Washington, D.C., or you're this, wandering rabbi in ancient Near East Palestine. Jesus didn't have the position of power. The Pharisees, they were at the center of the system. And so what's it like to stand up to those systems of power and offer a different interpretation? Not the easiest move, but I think sometimes the move we have to make, not only as a preacher, but just as all of us as people of faith.
Yeah. And I think to offer it in love, to offer it as invitation, that's the other thing I'm hearing you say, Heelee. We don't have to name call. We don't have to go to the newspapers. We can ask questions. We can sit down. We can invite. We can ask people to listen to our side of a topic and then say, and I would like to hear your side as well.
Yeah.
And I also want to remind us that the author of this book, Luke, is doing just that. I mean, depending on how you like to translate Theophilus, but he is fully aware of the empire and the possibility of this book being read by the empire, who constitute the empire. And this is not only a challenge to us, but I want to approach it as Luke's invitation to the empire as well. There's we have this rule, but there's hungry people, and we are breaking our rules. Well, Jesus is breaking, his rules to go take care of the poor. I mean, the hungry and the sick, right? Like, if you were the emperor and reading this, just someone in power, you'll be challenged. So I just want to keep that imagination in the back in my mind, because Luke is a colonized person, so that doesn't go away.
Wow.
Ooh, that's like a context that we often just skip right past when we read this. The name of the book, Luke, who was written to Theophilus, tells us so much of that context that's just baked into the water we don't even know we're swimming in.
That's amazing. It makes me wonder, though, Heelee, because I know that you are a New Testament scholar. Is Luke your area?
Well, I'm Paul, but I recently wrote a paper on Acts. That's why I'm.
Yes. Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Yes.
And presented
they all
and presented where we should share that.
Society of Biblical Literature.
Yes.
That little thing where every religious scholar in the universe gathers together for a giant presentation of all their brilliance. Yep. Some of that brilliance came from Minister Heelee Velez.
That's right. Yeah. We're so proud. We're so proud. And just so happy to celebrate her scholarship in the world. Yeah.
So you're getting ready to step into the pulpit. It's coming up in just a few days from when this video will be out in the world. So I know Reverend Thorne takes her shoes off and she stands at the pulpit with nothing between her and the ground. I like to, at some time in the day of my sermon before I preach, I usually listen to Lose Yourself by Eminem. You only got one shot. What about you? Do you have any, how do you prepare yourself to step into the pulpit? What can we kind of glimpse behind the curtain to know that you'll be doing as you prepare to offer this sermon on Sunday?
I'm a boring person. I do just the traditional things that you can, imagine. I just dive deep into prayer. That's where I find peace.
At all.
Yeah. So,
there is nothing boring about that. That is probably a good reminder for every preacher that is an essential aspect of anyone who's proclaiming any sort of good news, is deeply centered in prayer.
I need to remind myself. I'm not. Well, I am aware of the people I'm preaching to. Yes, but God, I'm standing before you. I am. So that's how I calm myself. It's me and you. I know you. You know me. I'm good. Whoever I am in front of, I'm good. I shouldn't be nervous. It's fine. It's all good. Yeah. And it's you speaking through me. Yeah. So.
Love it. That's beautiful. Well, I'm sure Jim has a wrap up, but I just want to say I believe the community is excited. I think Riverside is a church that is supportive of preachers. I know that they love to hear from the ministers on staff. And so it's going to be a good day. I think people will be praying with you and supportive of you as you step in to do this thing that I hope you'll do, more than just this one time. So even though this is the first time, I hope it'll be the first of many, many times.
The first, but definitely not the last. If SBL gets you, our pulpit might as well get you too, right? We got to get some of that brilliance. So that's coming up this Sunday, everybody. This is that wrap up Reverend Thorne just talked about. If you're a regular, you know what I'm going to say. Join us on Sunday, all sorts of ways you can. Open Bible Study starts at 9:30 in the room and on Zoom. Then there's worship at 10:30 is when the special music starts. Again, online, in the room, all the ways you can access it. We do virtual coffee hour afterwards, so we get to talk with Minister Heelee about the sermon she just preached moments after she preached it. Lots of ways to stay connected, but really we just hope that you dive into this text. We hope that you can join us if you're able on Sunday. And it's more Luke. That's not a surprise. We're in Luke for a while here, but Luke has some great stories, and I'm so excited for us to dive in on this one. And we'll do it this Sunday, and then we'll see all of you watching on the next one.